Hey guys, so I wanted to speak a little about what happened today. Um, if you haven't watched my last video, go ahead and watch it because what happened today is directly linked to that. So for those of you who already watched it, you know that I've been having bouts of incredibly fast, a very fast heartbeat. I get up to walk around and it feels like my lungs are burning, like I'm running a marathon. My heart rate gets up. I get dizzy. I can't breathe. It's terrifying. So anyway, after posting that, they took up the instigation. They started pounding on their floor, which is our ceiling. Tapping and pounding, and all night long it was just this faint tap tap tap. They're trying to instigate to agitate. And today I had to go out. I had to. There was no other choice. I had no other option. So I instead of taking public transportation, I took a cab to the post office because I wanted to avoid. I just wanted to avoid everything. And of course, they knew where I was going because I was going for someone else, and you know, so they knew that I was going to the post office, and so they had someone waiting there, and no, I didn't know it at the time. This would be the first of many provocations today. So the guy was wearing, and just to back up a bit, so about a week ago, I was at the store. I had to pick up a few things, and I saw a rack of jackets, and I'm not going to describe them, but they were very. I looked. I didn't look at them, but I thought to myself, should I look at one of those? Should I maybe get one of those? And I didn't. I didn't. But I considered it. I thought, wow, those are nice. Okay, so back to today. So there's a guy in the post office. He's got reddish, sandy-ish hair, slight beard. He's waiting in the corner, and he's wearing that same jacket. I didn't think a lot of it, although usually, I was hoping it wasn't the start of what was going to be massive provocations all day long. I was hoping. So I tried to block it out, did what I had to do at the post office. I left. I wasn't going to wait for a cab, so I started walking to the next location. And sure enough, another guy passes. Of course, he's got the sandy blonde hair, maybe slightly reddish, wearing the same jacket. Okay, and of course, dark glasses. About a block down, same thing, same thing. Uh, you know, white, reddish, sandyish hair, the dark glasses, the same jacket. And at first, I looked at this guy and I think, wait a minute, that looks like the exact same guy. And but then I looked closer. How could he be how what do they do? Drive him all the way back just so he can walk back toward me? But no, the closer I looked, it was a different guy. They just have these vermin swarming all day long. I mean, if you really think about the time and energy they put into this, and just the manpower, into just hunting and stalking and tracking a lone target, if they put all of this energy and time and manpower into going after a real threat, think of the good they can do. But these are cowards. They're predatory cowards. Predators are always cowards. They gather in massive groups to hunt the easiest targets they can find. That way they get the thrill of the hunt without any real threat to themselves, or at least they don't think there's any real threat to themselves. This is why it is pathetic. Anyway, by that point, my pulse was going up. And two, they had a lot of silver cars coming, and the reason is a while back, and I think I spoke about this too. There was I was crossing the street. I had the light. There were no cars coming, but as soon as I started crossing, this silver car that was it was at the he was at the crosswalk. He was at the other light. He didn't have the right way to go, and it didn't look like he was going to. He zoomed around the corner. Okay, just out of nowhere. He had stopped at the light, and he didn't have the light to go. So I didn't imagine he would do that, and he almost ran me over. I literally had to run out of the way. Okay, and when I looked back, I saw a GoPro in the window. So he was trying to get my reaction. And so today they had a lot of those same silver cars coming at me. None of them actually almost ran me over this time, but they just had a lot of them come by, crossing in front of me. A few of them had stopped, like wherever I was, and they started moving as soon as I passed by. Okay, I get to the store and I had no way to avoid going. I had to pick up some things for someone else, so I had to go. I walk in. There he is again. I say he. There he is again. They got a lot of guys who look the same. Okay, sandy hair, reddish hair, a slight beard, same jacket. I ignore him. See, even thinking about it, my heart is beating very fast now. It's pounding. So they have a bunch of these guys, and they're following me around the store, and they're cutting me off at aisles. And I can't prove that they're up to anything. Prove it, right? You can't just go around accusing people of things, right? Well, they can, and they get their way, but we can't, right? They falsely accuse us of things and have security called on us. We point out what they're actually doing, and we're not believed. So then they had another guy. He was larger. He was wearing a black jacket. He had tattoos. He had sandy blonde hair. Okay, and he kept cutting me off at different aisles. And finally, I started to get in line, and he followed me, and I got out of line. And he kind of grinned. He kind of grinned. And looked at his cell phone. So I walked around the store for a little longer. I let him get into another line, and I got into a different line after that. Eventually, he walked out, and there was a group of guys waiting outside. One had a motorcycle. One had long blonde hair. Come on, this is pathetic. All this for a lone target, right? He walked out, and I noticed that he kind of gave them a nod, and they kind of gave him a nod back, and then looked back into the store, and then he walked off. Oh wait, no, not fast forward, but right about then, when I'm in the checkout line, and I'm heading toward the front. I'm almost at the cashier. In the next line over, two women are fighting, and they start screaming massively and cursing at each other and calling each other horrible names and threatening each other. And they're shouting and shouting and shouting, and I just grin. At that point, I just mumbled to myself, "Street theater," right? One of the women then, one of the clerks that was who had gotten into an argument with someone who was shopping there, a shopper. So the woman who was shopping and got into the argument, she was shouting and shouting. Then she came toward me, and she was standing behind me in line. She actually got behind me before she got in line. Then she got in line behind me, and she was shouting over me at the other woman, right in my ear, cursing and threatening. And I just, this is all meant to get my heart rate up, to keep my heart rate up, to keep me in a constant state of anxiety, which at this point is dangerous. You're being followed. People are I've had these guys, one of the guys with the reddish hair, he whispered something under his breath, and I don't know what he said. I'm kind of hard of hearing. I have a loss of hearing in my right ear. I was born with that. But just to explain, a few years ago, I was in trucking school, and I passed the written test, which is computerized. I passed that. And so we got to the point of actually driving, and everything was fine, but then I got really sick. And I got so sick, I couldn't. And I was wondering, because there were a few Russian guys who were coughing and hacking up a storm, and that happened when we were actually practicing for the written test. We were in the computer room. And I remember being there and thinking, I hope I don't get sick from them. Well, fast forward a few weeks later, I passed the written test. I was then at that point learning to drive, and I got so sick. It's ridiculous. I was hacking up my lungs, but then I was in the bathroom, and I remember I picked I'd been bending over the sink, and I picked my head up, and I felt all this fluid rush into my ears, and all of a sudden, just like that, I couldn't hear. Okay, I could barely hear, and there was so much pressure in my right ear. I almost went to the ER. I was hoping it would get better. It didn't, so I went to the ER the next morning, and the doctor said that there was dried blood. There was some blood in my ear, and she said it was an infection, but I don't think an infection could happen that quickly. Anyway, she gave me antibiotics, and that was that. So, anyway, to make a long story short, I never got my CDL license. I just have the normal driver's license, so it screwed everything up. But back to this. So this guy's passing today, right? And he mumbled something. He kind of looked at me. He had glasses on. He kind of looked at me and whispered something. And they whisper it very lightly so that I can't record it. I don't know what he said, and I'm glad I don't. I don't care. I walked on. It would have just provoked me even more. Okay, so back to the store. These two women are screaming at each other and shouting and fighting. Eventually, I pay and walk out. And as I'm leaving, I'm walking home, and I cross an alleyway, and there's the same guy with the sandy blonde hair and the tattoos who had been following me around the store. And he's got his cell phone out. He's looking at it. And he's looking at me and grinning. By the time I got home, my blood pressure, I don't know if my blood pressure was high, my pulse was, my heartbeat was pounding. My hands had swollen up. My face was red. I mean, it's like it's being under constant attack. Imagine being in battle and having to remain calm. And you have to remain calm in this case because if they see you look angry, they get footage of that and then they report you for that. Or they use that to add to whatever, footage they're trying to gather against you. Oh, look, here he is or here she is looking pissed off again over supposedly nothing. Right. It's not natural to, it's human nature to respond to something like this, to get worked up, to get angry, to either fight back or to flee. And it's fight or flight. And in a case like this, we can't fight back. There are too many of them against one. It's not even a fair fight. Okay? It's like stepping on an ant. It's a coward's war, and we can't run because they follow us. Your instinct is to lash out at them. And we can't even flinch. We can't even show anger. I mean, it's insane. It is absolutely insane. Anyway, I got home and yeah, my fingers were swollen. My face was red. My heart was pounding and beating so fast. This is getting dangerous and scary. Okay, they were trying to provoke me today massively because of the post I made the other day about my heart rate and how I'm trying to keep it down. And I have been trying to keep it down. I've been trying to calm myself and, and they're doing everything they can to make sure that doesn't happen, to let me know they're here. They're swarming like vermin. They're attacking. They're sick psychopaths. Of course there's going to be anger. Of course there's going to be a negative response. Of course there's going to be agitation. Okay, they're trying to keep my pulse up, my heart rate up, my fear and my anger and agitation up as high as possible. And that at this level is dangerous. Anyway, I just wanted to make another video to let you all know how this works. Peace.